G'day guys, ZiggyD here, and welcome to a bit of a Path of Diablo video. I know a lot of you guys have been checking out the game and the mod, and maybe a bit too many people after my last video. I do apologize for some of the server downtime, but Green Dude has since updated the servers, and things seem to be going a lot better now, so pretty good stuff. Either way, I'm really happy to see the community growing so much, so I'm pleased so many of you guys have been checking out the game. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking about Druid and Summon a Druid because it's one of the hype new playstyles that you can play in Path of Diablo. It was very much less viable in original Diablo, and now much more viable thanks to the ability for us to summon all of our creatures and have them all out, so you can play like you can have an army of beasts running around with you. And I have to say, if you're looking for a good beginner build to get through leveling in Path of Diablo, then this is it. Ravens are incredibly good. You absolutely crush through normal difficulty and just cruise through Nightmare as well. Eventually, we're probably going to respec over to more of a Spirit Wolf and Grizzly summoner, and those will probably scale better into later Hell. But for now, the Ravens do not seem to be letting me down, and they've been just absolutely crushing through it. They have melee splash, which means they just clear through packs like nothing else. They just swoop in and obliterate the entire pack, and they do enough single target damage, especially because you can summon 20 of them out. And it's kind of a bit like playing a zombie spectre summon raging spirits build from Path of Exile. And as far as like Diablo playstyles, this is one of the smoother ones that I've played, because some of the old skills can feel a little bit clunky. This is like a 17-year-old game, but this does feel quite smooth. So let's go ahead and summon all of my crap. Give myself a buff just here with, this is one of the latest skills, your skill into Cyclone Armor, which has synergies with Ravens, gives them increased physical damage, but also absorbs elemental damage for us, up to 690 of it. Turn into Werebear form, which increases our life, and summon all of our crap. We have a lot of dudes to summon here. So get all these guys out, and these guys, and missing my two wolves. There's my wolves. Got everything up. So you can see you can get quite an army of beasts, and this isn't even everything. I still have yet to get Spirit of Barbs, because, I mean, I might as well put 1 point into it, but it doesn't really do that much. The reflect damage is not really very significant, I've been told. But nonetheless, I'll probably get it anyway, just because 1 point at least while we're playing Ravens, just as having as many bodies out on the field as possible, and as many buffs as possible. So I'll give you guys a bit of a look at how it goes, and then I'll talk more about like skills and gear and stuff like that. And maybe some of you guys will just find this a fun little nostalgia trip, and there's some of you other guys that want to play a nice, like, fun, strong starter build in Path of Diablo here will enjoy this too. So the way Ravens work, and you notice I'm summoning up to 20 of these now, the limit of how many you can summon is based on the skill level. You can eventually get up to 20. And they are a little bit different to Summon Raging Spirits, though they are a fairly similar skill. The way this works is you summon, they don't have a time limit, they just flock around and fly around with you for as long as, forever, basically. But they do have an attack limit, so once they attack 3 times, they'll disappear, so you will need to keep resummoning. I did lose a few there, I don't know where they went. It's a little odd that 3 just disappeared. Maybe they went off screen and attacked something, I don't know. But typically they don't disappear unless they actually attack things, and they don't actually have a time limit. Which means that if you're heading into a boss room or heading into a room full of stuff, you can summon up to 20 Ravens. And fast cast rate and a bit of mana regen or some mana pots will help you get there as well. Most of the time you'll just be cruising with about 10 or so of these out maybe while you're clearing, or just a few out. And then just resummoning as you go. As you can see, these guys just carve through things, man. You just run along, you just recast every now and then. You do this sweet table flipping animation and throw some Ravens out. And just try and keep those Raven count up as you move through packs. Just position away from things. You can essentially off-screen with them too if you want. So if there's some guys over here that you want to deal with, then you can kind of just hang back and just toss them over there. They actually summon where you right-click, so you can just kind of throw them at the enemies and just summon them right on top of them. And just keep doing this. I don't actually have my Merc out at the moment. Typically you want to get something like a mana regen Merc or something like that. I've just been running an Archer because my party member has been running an Aura Merc with a bunch of Auras on it, so I don't have that out at the moment because I think it died in a boss fight. But that's okay, it's not really super important part of the build here. Typically run a Merc that gives you some sort of beneficial Aura. In this case I've been running like mana regen when needed, just to help with the Raven spam. Otherwise though, it's all gravy. So a little bit of a tougher pack of Stranglers here. I haven't run into any elites just yet. Got a bit of a chill on me there. You'll see my mana runs down a bit, but while you're clearing, most of the time it's not too hard just to keep up about half your max limit. Alright, looks like we've got a Lightning Chanted dude over here, and he's gonna go down pretty quick. We can pop a mana pot if we want to keep summoning, and he's down. It goes pretty nicely. Every now and then you might get like your wolves dying, not too much of the stuff seems to die every now and then, but you can just pop back over and resummon them if you want. If you think they're in danger of dying, you can go ahead and do that resummon, and that just keeps those numbers up. As I said, most of them, the wolves are just there to tank for you. The bear does a bit of damage, but is mostly a tank. And the vines provide some supplementary skills. One of them just deals a little bit of damage, doesn't really do too much to the poison creeper. But the carrion vine gives you heals when it eats corpses, and soul creeper gives you mana when it eats corpses. So they're nice to have, you know, just out on the field consuming corpses and giving you that life and mana. I'm gonna go grab this amulet here. I love jewelry in this game. You can get some really sick stats. Like for example, this amulet I got here, +3 to summoning skills, which is beastly. Actually traded an Orb of Corruption to Angry AA for that. He found that one. Though I did find a +1 summoning skills, and otherwise I've been using things like faster cast rate amulets and such like that. So this is the end of Nightmare here. Well, Act 4 Nightmare anyway. We haven't gone into the expansion act just yet. But it's been going pretty cruisy, and I've been running around with an Aura as a paladin a bit as well, and that is very strong as well, because I think some of the auras might affect your summons too, like anything but the ravens. The ravens don't seem to be affected by any auras that I can tell. But you can see, like, it's just so satisfying seeing them flock into a pack and just peck them to death, right? It's a pretty satisfying playstyle, and you just get to run around with this hulking bear, which, you know, you literally just put 1 point into so that you get that 25% life bonus. And then if you take a bunch of elemental damage, like there's a lightning enchanted or something, and your little windy shield drops off here, which you'll start specking into that around Nightmare, you just, you know, go out of bear form, recast that, and go back into bear form. And then you're good to continue. Let's take out these Venom Lords and the Elite Venom Lord here, which is going to go down pretty quick as we keep throwing the Ravens on them. And then we'll head back to town. I'll show you guys some gear and skill points and stuff like that. So, pretty fun playstyle. I've enjoyed it immensely, actually. It's probably, from all of the different builds I've ever played in Path of Diablo, in Diablo 2, this has been probably my favorite. It's just such a smooth feeling playstyle. Even though this is a 17-year-old game, it doesn't really feel that different to playing Path of Exile. It's a bit slower, obviously, and gear acquisition is completely different, and very satisfying, I must say. Like, the way you kind of just run around and throw out your summon Raging Spirits, or in this case, summon Raven Spirits, it feels a bit like playing Path of Exile. Like, it's that kind of level of smoothness. I'm quite surprised how smooth this actually is. So let's take a look at some skill points first. You want to put 1 point into everything as you level. Whenever you get access to something, you should put a point into it and just have them up. As many bodies on the field as possible, and a lot of these, even just with 1 point, give you a significant buff. Even, you know, just 1 point into Oak Sage gives you a bunch of percentage increased life, you know, and just having 1 point into the Wolves and things like that. Eventually, you'll get plus skills, and you can see a lot of these things that are 6 now. These are just 1 pointers, but I got +5 total skills, so they're, you know, they end up being quite stronger. And having 1 point into everything means that those plus to all skills items become a lot more valuable as well. So all these things running around at 6, and some things that I've leveled up being a little stronger, like Oak Sage and so on. But apart from putting 1 point into everything in the summoning tree and just having them all out, you want to dump all your points into Raven as much as possible. Whenever you can level this up, and it's limited by your level a bit, whenever you can level this up, you should. But this is your dump skill. This is your damage dealing skill. And the more points you put into that, the more damage you're going to get, and the more Ravens you can get out, which again increases your damage somewhat exponentially. So that is quite effective. Once you'll be focusing on this throughout normal difficulty, but as soon as you get access to it, put 1 point into Werebear. I did test Werewolf, and I think it's better to go Werebear. So just go Werebear. Put 1 point into Werebear once you get to, I think it's like level 8 or 9 or something. Put 1 point into that and go into Werebear form. It's not really necessary before then to put a point into Werewolf, so it's kind of a wasted point, which I'll fix when I respec. But 1 point into that Werebear just for that 25% life buff. That's it. You can summon all of your creatures while in Werebear form. The only thing you can't do is, again, that Cyclone Armor. And once you get into around Nightmare, and once you've maxed out, most importantly, your Ravens, so your Ravens have hit 20, the base level of 20, then you start putting points into Cyclone Armor. So you put 1 point into Arctic Blast, and then just start dumping into Cyclone Armor until it's maxed out. Once you've got this skill, you start casting this before combat, and then recasting it if it drops. It usually can absorb enough damage that it'll stay up a lot of the time, and when it drops, you know you're in deep shit. Like, you've taken a shit ton of elemental damage. So, like, for me, I run around with like 1,000, 1,100 life or something, and taking 690 elemental damage, if that drops, you know you've taken a lot of damage. So recast it every now and then. It's pretty easy to do. You know, you just pop out of Werebear form, pop over to that, recast it, and pop back over to Werebear form. Use those hotkeys, use those F keys. And you'll want to, for this, assign some extra hotkeys under the options configure controls. You can assign extra skill hotkeys. You're not just limited to the 8F skills. You can assign extra, and you can see that I've done that just there. And that is a very good idea, because you will have more skills than you have hotkeys, and it's nice to be able to have all these things hotkeyed so that when one of your wolves dies, you can just pop over, recast it, and swap back to ravens, you know? So that works out pretty nicely. So just keep that Cyclone armor up once you start dumping into that, and that increases your Raven damage immensely. Each point of that gives you 13% increased physical damage on the Ravens. From that point onwards, once you've done that and you're heading into late Nightmare, which is where I'm at now, you start putting points into Twisty, you know, because that also gives the synergies. You just start skilling out those synergies until you eventually want to respec over into some other form of summoner. In my case, as I said, probably going to go Grizzlies and Wolves and see how that goes, rather than a Raven focus. But for now, you got plenty of points to spend in the elemental tree just to buff those Ravens. So once we're done with Twister, we'll start putting points into Hurricane and Arctic Blast. I've just been prioritizing that physical damage for now, and that seemed to have worked out pretty nicely, mainly though because the synergy of you being able to actually cast and use Cyclone Armor is quite good. As for your actual character skills, just put enough strength in to equip your gear. Keep an eye on what gear's coming up. For me, that's been around 60. I can equip pretty much everything here. There's probably like a minimum strength you could shoot for. I haven't looked into that just yet, but around 60's got me all the gear going. You don't actually need very high level gear on this character. As a caster, you're mostly going to be, I'll get into this in a bit, but you're not going to need to equip too many higher level things until much, much later on, that you might even potentially be needing to consider that, but it's not too difficult to do. So around 50, 60 strength gets you there, and you can always bolster it with some charms with strength on them as well. I probably have a few strength charms in here, just a few ones kind of like lying around in there. And that can help you get that up. Otherwise, all the rest of your points go into Vitality. I did put 10 points into Energy early on because I was having some problems with just casting my Ravens as often as I was wanting to through normal difficulty. Eventually, once you get like a Merc with a regen aura, or you get some charms with mana on them. I have some pretty nice mana charms and things now around in here somewhere. Pretty sure oh, this one's not even identified. 3% magic fine, sweet. Once you get some mana charms and some of the items I'm going to go into in a sec, you'll be okay, but early on I found that okay, and because you can respec, it's not too bad. 5 to 10 points in energy like doubles your mana or something, so it's not, or it gives you a lot extra, so it kind of takes the burden off that a little bit, and makes it so you don't have to spam mana pots as much as you want. But if you don't mind spending mana pots, it is D2 after all, then you don't need to put any points into that, and just max out that vitality, eh? Classic D2 style, enough strength for gear, max vitality, couldn't get much simpler than that. Gear's where it starts to get really fun though. There's some pretty cool stuff you can get here. Firstly, stealth. Classic armor used by nearly everyone. This is just the Taleth runes. Once you have these guys, look for a 2-socket chest. You can vendor farm one if you want, or just keep an eye out. If you're using one of the loot filters, they get shown up on the loot filters really nice and easily. So look out for a 2-socket. You can just do it on the highest chest you can find at the time. It doesn't really matter. It's the difference is a bit of defense. Eventually, I replaced my old stealth with a serpent skin armor just because of the higher defense. And the Taleth is not particularly rare. But mainly this gives you faster cast rate, which lets you spam those ravens faster, and faster run walk for your clear speed, but also gives you that mana regen, which is quite nice as well. So that helped out a little bit there. A few other juicy stats. Once you do Act 5 in normal, you'll get the runes Ral, Ort, and Tal. Once you get that, look for a 3-socket shield. Kite shield is pretty easy to equip, doesn't really have only 47 strength required, so that's got to be kind of like your minimum. Like, what's even my highest strength required is my boots at 50, I think, probably. Yeah, I think 60 for the plated belt, so 60 is probably what you're shooting for then. But chuck those in that order. Ralot Tal for Ancient's Pledge, which is just your... We have so much damage from Ravens, we're a spellcaster, we just want defensive gear, so this gives you a crap ton of resists. Plus a little bit of mana, but it's not really important. Mostly just those resists, that gets you capped in normal easily when you put it on, and then gives you a pretty juicy amount of resists in Nightmare. The only thing I'm low on at the moment actually is Cold Res, everything else is pretty high. And then, after that, your next highest priority as far as rune words go is Spirit. And you'll look for this, you'll be looking for a Crystal Sword. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. You can just find a 4-socket Crystal Sword. You can use any sword you can equip, just Crystal Sword's really easy to equip with only 43 strength. But if you get a level 26 to 40 Spirit Sword, which you'll get around Act 5-ish in normal, if you get and you can check that, you can actually go down into the settings here and control-click this settings and go to loot filter and click show item level, and you can just drop the sword and then check its item level. So for this I can just do this. Let me right click out of this, And if I drop that, you can see that the level is 40, so I got the highest you can get for this, I think. And then what you do is use the quest reward from Act 5 that allows you to add sockets to an item, and it adds the maximum number of sockets. So 26 to 40 gives you 4 sockets, which is what you need for Spirit. So easy stuff. We get that level 40 or level 26 or so on. Sword. Put the Tal, Thul, Ort, and Am, which are going to take a little bit longer to acquire, but if you're running with a party, you should get it pretty quickly. And if you're happy to do a little bit of trading, you can get it really quickly. Otherwise, you'll hopefully eventually get this. You can do some farming runs, Countess or something, if you like. But this thing is insane. Eventually, you can also get this on a shield, and that will be the dream to later swap the Ancient's Pledge shield over for a Spirit shield too, and then you can run a sword and a shield with Spirit in it. And mainly, well, this gives you fast cast rate, a few other nice things, but mainly it's +2 to all skills. So all of your summon skills get +2. Juicy as. Not to mention, any points you put anywhere else as well. So quite nice. So that is the dream just there. Apart from the rune gear, there are the 3 main kind of like rune word gear that we're looking at here for leveling. Look for your Druid helmets, your wolf's heads and things like that. Just try to get one that has a skill that you use. If you get ravens, that would be the dream. I got Oak Sage, gives me more % increased life, sure. So I got this guy, and it had some nice stats on it, so chuck that in there. Chucked in some skulls just for a little bit of replenished life and mana, and you can tell by the chipped skulls that I've been using this since like Act 2 normal, and it's carried me through. I've not found a better helmet yet, so just look for something, a wolf head or something that's got your skills on it, basically. The rest of your gear, like your gloves and boots, are pretty much just life, but if you can get any other nice stats like move speed on your boots, for example, I got faster run walk here, then you can run that too. I'm literally just running Blood Fist for 40 life because that gives me quite a bit of life. It gives me 50 life exactly because of my life scaling. More in the field with the Oak Sage, I think. Same with the belt, 50 life. Just as much life as possible, right? With our life's percentage scaling things, flat life rolls like this are really juicy. Rest of my jewelry, I'll take a look at what I got. Fast cast rate, pretty high. Well, it's not essential, but it allows you to max out those ravens while you're in a boss fight. You can keep your max raven count up if you've got enough fast cast rate, and otherwise just build those ravens up faster. So fast cast rate ring here, fast cast rate ring here. And then you could do the same thing on your amulet. That's what I was running for a long time. Your all resist and stuff like that are really good. Your life is really good. Mana is helpful, like on this one just here. And then the dream, though, is to get your plus summoning skills. So again, this amulet here is beastly. +3 summoning skills. Probably going to use this for a very long time, and this has been quite clutch because that's just a huge damage increase, right, on your ravens, and then also just increasing like the tankiness and the damage of all of your other summons too. +3 to all of those skills, crazy stuff, and a high priority stat. So guys, I think that's everything. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments below. This has been pretty fun. I hope you guys enjoy as well. Maybe if I make it to hell and don't die and get to do some respec and try some other styles of Summon a Druid, I'll let you guys know about it. But let me know what you think. Anyway guys, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thank you very much for watching.